County hospital is what happens to you when you are in deep shit. I'm talking about when all else fails and you are at the end of your rope. Been there, done that. As a young man, I destroyed my leg playing football without insurance, and it changed my life. Not in a good way. When I see county hospital now, I hear scary organ music. My name is Boone Calhoun. I am a world adventurer, war hero, scientist, sommelier, mountain climber, black belt, jet pilot, crypto wizard, and Silver Star winning rear admiral in the U.S. Navy. I have lived the life of a well-traveled crash test dummy. But living this life has its disadvantages, mainly pain. Crashing hurts and comes with circumstances. Sometimes that circumstance is county hospital. On TV, when you watch ER, Doc-E, Grey's Anatomy, or The Pit, everybody has a private room. That's some serious bullshit. When I ended up at county, there were 5 patients in a room with no air conditioning during a heat wave. It smelled like ass, chicken soup, and medicine. It gets worse. County hospital was connected to county jail. This was bad. You could hear screaming at night coming from down the hall. To add spice to the experience, you could end up waiting for appointments sitting next to a prisoner in an orange jumpsuit wearing leg chains. It was the mid-'80s. My life at the time included playing in a very competitive adult flag football league that was similar to rugby. There were excellent athletes involved, and it was very competitive. Many were ex-college players, and a few had played in the NFL. I worked, trained, chased the ladies, rode motorcycles, and gave parties. Life was pretty fun. One weekend, we had a playoff game. We were getting beaten like a drum. I wasn't seeing the ball and was miscast blocking giant linemen. I was not happy. It was like David and Goliath. I was getting my ass kicked. Finally, I caught a pass and saw a little daylight. I took off while being chased by a defensive back and a safety. They took an angle to force me to the sideline. Here is where I messed up. My first life lesson was be yourself. Emulating a friend's move, I threw on the brakes with the idea that the defenders would run by. This was a big mistake. Suddenly, the world was spinning in slow motion. I'm not sure if I got hit in the knee or my knee just gave out, but it felt like a planet landed on my leg and exploded. I had never felt that amount of pain in my life. My hands pulled in about a yard of turf as I screamed in agony. I was in big trouble. After agonizing for over half an hour on the field, an ambulance took me to a nearby hospital. The ride was brutal. I could feel every blade of grass that the ambulance rolled on. Admittedly, I was young and stupid. I decided it was safe to play football with Neanderthals without a helmet. To make this situation more interesting, my new job's health insurance wasn't active for 2 weeks. This hospital threw their hands up in the air, shot me full of Demerol, and then pointed east. My friend loaded me into his car and swung by my apartment to pack my basics. A few shirts, shorts, and undies, as well as my pencil and sketchbook. They tied me to the roof rack and headed to hell. Next stop, county hospital. The drive there took forever. My mind was racing, searching for resolve. I had a golf putter as a cane and a backpack full of underwear. That's it. I was dropped off and wished good luck. The hospital building was incredibly tall and menacing. There was scary organ music playing with well-timed lightning strikes, even during a clear day. When I pass the building now, I still hear scary music as I wet my pants and whimper. If I had riches, I would buy the building and then have it demolished. The funny thing is, many years later, the building was converted to a wellness center. It's kind of like Alcatraz being turned into a petting zoo. The waiting room was comically dense, like a rave party. I knew I was completely screwed. To start, Demerol lasts 3 hours. It has now been 6 hours, and my foot was pointed in the wrong direction. Pain at this point was unbearable. I lay there cursing life and my stupidity. Eventually, they rolled me into a room resembling MASH. There were gurneys everywhere, and moaning, injured people were begging for help. I was one of them. A doctor saw me in my football uniform and asked, "What are you doing here?" They were expecting knife and gunshot wounds. Thinking back on the situation hurts me to my soul. I was screwed, and I knew it. I lay on the gurney for a long time, wondering what happens next. Eventually, I was transferred to a wheelchair, pushed by a large Hispanic volunteer wearing scrubs to an old elevator. He pushed the button for the 15th floor. I could feel every rotation of the wheels as I was ushered to my new temporary home. County Hospital was connected to the county jail. Prisoners in orange jumpsuits and chains were in the mix. Things weren't looking good. To make things worse, LA was suffering from a heat wave. Of course, the room did not have air conditioning. I would have to wait 10 to 14 days to have surgery. I was thinking about how unimportant I was in society. Basically, fuck me. Now I was injected with Demerol every 3-4 hours. Eventually, they ran out of spots to give me an injection. I became a human pincushion. This would continue for 10 days until the operation. There is a specific kind of dread that arrives when a doctor in training walks into your room carrying a needle, and the expression of someone who has read extensively about what they are about to do. He was young, Asian, slight, and possessed of a head that I want to describe with precision because precision matters here. It was large. Genuinely, physically, anatomically large. Not metaphorically big in the way of ego or ambition. The boy's actual skull was oversized in a way that registered the moment he walked through the door and could not be unregistered. The cruel irony, which became apparent almost immediately, was that the considerable square footage of that cranium appeared to be running something considerably smaller than advertised between the ears. The assignment was simple. 4 vials of blood were drawn in preparation for my surgery. Routine. The kind of thing a competent phlebotomist handles in 90 seconds without breaking conversation. Big Head arrived with his tray, studied my arm with the concentration of a man reading a map of a country he had never visited, and began. First poke, nothing. Second poke, nothing. Third poke, nothing. And then he started fishing. For the uninitiated, fishing is when the needle is already inside your arm but not inside anything useful, and the operator begins moving it laterally, searching blind through tissue for a vein that is doing its reasonable best to remain undiscovered. It is an experience that produces in the recipient a complex mixture of pain and philosophical despair. I studied the ceiling with great intensity and made my peace with several things. Eventually, through persistence or pure statistical luck, he found a vein. It filled the first vial beautifully, clean, cooperative, definitively O-positive. I watched it fill with the relief of a man who can see the end of something terrible. Then Big Head pulled the needle out. Not to change vials. Not as part of any recognizable medical protocol. He simply withdrew a working needle from a cooperative vein with 1 full vial and 1 empty one still waiting, and regarded what he had done with the expression of a man making a discovery about himself. Then he started fishing again. I will not detail what followed except to say it involved the same combination of blind persistence and unlikely fortune as the first vial. When it was finally over, 2 hard-won vials of my blood sat on the bed tray. I regarded them with the quiet pride of a man who has survived something and has the evidence to prove it. Then an orderly arrived, pushing a broom with the wide, distracted arc of someone whose mind had already moved on to the next room. He bumped the bed, not dramatically, just enough. Both vials rolled off the tray and hit the linoleum with the small, definitive sound of all hope departing. I hit the red button before they stopped rolling. A real doctor appeared, finished, competent, head of entirely normal proportions. He produced a fresh kit, found a vein on the first attempt with the casual efficiency of someone for whom this was not an adventure, filled 4 vials cleanly, and left without ceremony. I lay back and stared at the ceiling. Somewhere across the ward, as if on cue, Bullshit grabbed his trapeze bar and summed up the situation in 2 words.